Did you know that one of the top concerns of business leaders and CEOs today is the lack of leadership succession? In other words, is there anyone who can take my place when I'm ready to step down? And are they ready to take my place? So availability and readiness are the two things that most people are concerned with when it comes to succession. And if you think about Jeff Bezos, who stepped down at Amazon and announced a new leader, many companies don't have plans in place where they can actually step back and have someone readily available to take on that role of leadership. But today I'm going to share 7 success habits of great leaders. And so by the end of this video, you'll have my 7 tips, no matter if you have a formal role or title, or if you're just looking to step up your leadership game in any role that you play. For the best career advice on how to disrupt the status quo in your career life to get from where you are to where you want to be, make sure you hit that bell button to be notified whenever I post a video, and you subscribe to my channel. Now, if you're new here, I'm Nicole Andrews, also known as the Career Disruptor, and I help ambitious women disrupt the status quo and embrace their difference to create a career strategy and plan that works for their lives. It helps them get from point A to point B in their career, but I'm also an organizational consultant and speaker, and I go into organizations and help them create inclusive environments using my own unique custom frameworks. And I do DEI very differently because my whole philosophy and my whole approach is very interactive. It's also very personal because it helps people identify their own personal biases and things of that nature. But when it comes to leaders, this is more critical work. So a lot of my work is geared towards everybody in the organization, but I also have models and frameworks that are geared just for leaders because they can make or break your organization. So with that, I want you to incorporate elements of inclusion into your leadership style. So you'll hear a lot of what I talk about today that has that DEI kind of bent. The best leaders operate under the first thing, surrounding themselves with people who complement them. There are so many people who are afraid to let others, quote, outshine them. And so they compete with the very people that they hire. And so I don't want you to be that type of leader, right? And I know you're not if you're watching this channel. So just know that surrounding yourself with people who are complimenting you will only help you advance and accelerate your career success and make sure that the next person is prepared to step in behind you. And so if that is on to a new and higher role, then guess what? You have someone in place who can allow you to step into that. Some leaders have blind spots because they only surround themselves with those who are, quote, in the insiders club. People who think like them, people who act like them, whatever it may be. And so I want you to be a leader who surrounds yourself with people who are complimenting you, not necessarily complimenting you because they're like you. The second success habits of effective leaders is seeking out diverse perspectives. So whenever I talk about DEI or I go into organizations and talk about inclusion, I share things about confirmation bias because a lot of times leaders in particular will seek out others who will approve of their opinion, who will validate what they're already thinking, or who will agree with their perspective. But the best leaders seek out people with diverse perspectives. Some of those people may think like you, some of those people may not. But at the end of the day, as a leader, you have to remain curious to, again, avoid those blind spots, but become curious about the world around you and also others' perspectives. And that's where you get your advantage as well, because then you are able to really innovate because you are having so many different inputs that it allows you to see things that others don't see. The third tip is to apologize when you get it wrong. No one wants to work for a leader who never makes mistakes, who never gets it wrong, who always has the right answers and nobody else is right. So admit and apologize when you do make mistakes and when you get things wrong. Most people's default is to cover it up, potentially because they think that, well, gosh, if I'm a leader, I'm supposed to know it all. I'm supposed to have all the answers and I'm supposed to never make mistakes. But that's not true. So I want you to alleviate that pressure and that stress if you are a leader. Again, no matter your title, if you are leading in some way, remove that pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has setbacks. And so if you make a mistake, the best thing that you can do is to admit it when you get it wrong And that actually increases your credibility, increases the respect and trust that people have for you. The fourth tip for great leaders is to cover your people and coach them to help them improve. Don't publicly humiliate them. So one would think that this doesn't happen, but a lot of times it can happen unintentionally. But we've all been in places where there's healthy debates, or what I call creative conflicts. Creative conflicts are great. There's a back and forth. Everyone's trying to, there's, give and take. You're trying to reach a middle ground. That's okay for everyone to talk about it and build on someone else's idea or share their different opinion or how they would approach it differently. Totally okay. Creative conflicts are great. However, when you have someone who is publicly humiliating or calling someone out in a meeting for something they did wrong, then that's almost like a shaming tactic, and it doesn't feel good for anyone in the meeting. So the best thing that you can do for your people is to cover them and show them that you support them, even in the good times and the bad, but also coach them privately. Don't dismiss that, but coach them privately to help them improve on whatever they need to improve upon. So before I go on, post your comments below. Make sure you share your feedback around what you're learning, also other success habits that you've seen with leaders, and help build this community up. So now let's get to the fifth tip, which is seeking feedback as a leader. Seeking feedback as a leader is a way to eliminate what we talked about earlier, which were blind spots. Blind spots are anything that you really don't know about yourself. There are things that you have, maybe strengths that you have that could be blind spots, but oftentimes they can be areas that you need to improve upon that you just don't realize that you have. So the best way to mitigate that is to seek feedback. Now, when you hear the word performance evaluation as a leader or performance management, do you cringe like the Grinch who stole Christmas? It's okay. As an HR executive and career coach and all of those things, I get it. Performance management has such a bad reputation, and evaluations make people cringe in the workplace because it seems like there's another imperfect human being judging another imperfect human being. And so it feels like this awkward conversation and tension when it doesn't have to be that way. So one of the ways that you can remove those blind spots as a leader by seeking feedback is to seek two-way communication or two-way feedback. This is where you sit down with the individual that you're coaching or that you're evaluating, and you say, hey, I want to spend some time. The majority of the time will be focused on you, but I want to spend some time after this meeting or tag on an additional 15, 20, 30 minutes, however long after this meeting, to have you give your feedback to me. And you can set that up before you ever go in the meeting so they're prepared to share that feedback. But that's the best thing that you can do as a leader, is to say, hey, I want to hear your feedback too. This is not just one way. This is not just me sharing my opinion of you, but what do you think about me as your leader? And truly being open to hearing that, because that is your leg up. So the sixth tip is, in order to be a successful leader, I want you to not be afraid to challenge people to help them stretch and grow. Leadership is not about bringing people into a 100% comfort zone. It's really about helping people stretch beyond anything they could have imagined alone. You are helping them see new possibilities. You're helping set a vision and a path or a strategy that they can actually get behind and support because they feel like their work makes a difference. And so a lot of times that means you may have to challenge people. But in order to do that, you have to listen first. So you have to really care about those individuals and listen first, lead second, and then challenge third, so you can help them reach new heights. Listening can also be an advantage to your people because you are the one that's making them feel valued, making them feel like they're a part of the team. And so that can give you a leg up as a leader in the organization when you truly hear your people, especially when they are closer to the front lines, or they understand what's going on at a deeper level because they're in it day to day. That can be your biggest competitive advantage, is to listen and keep your ear to your people. The last tip, number 7, is don't overprotect or overpromise your team or people on your team. So what do you mean by overprotect, Nicole? Well, I mean, a lot of times we will overprotect our people, and it's okay to cover our people. But as a leader, your job is to also coach them. And sometimes leaders will overprotect by simply dismissing what someone is doing. Even if others bring it to them, they will dismiss it to protect or overprotect that person from harm But what happens is that person either stalls in their career progress, or they get to the next level in their career and it causes a problem for that team, for that company, or clients later, because that person has blind spots that no one has shared with them. So again, it's okay to cover your people, but don't overprotect, meaning you still have to coach them to improve. You still have to share feedback and share blind spots that they may have so they don't get stalled later in their career. The other area is overpromising. A lot of times there's misaligned expectations at work because a leader has promised something that they may not be able to deliver on. And even though we know under promise, over deliver, everyone's heard that. This is about not overprotecting and not overpromising, because if you promise someone, for example, a new title, if they meet this goal on a project, but then something happens like a global pandemic or something else that you can't deliver on that promise, it sets up, again, misaligned expectations, unmet expectations, and it causes issues for both you and that individual long term if you can't rectify it. So instead of overpromising, you can say something like, hey, I am 100% in support of your career growth and development and will do whatever it takes to help you succeed and reach your potential here as a leader. That's all that you have to say. And it doesn't have to be this grand thing. Now, eventually that person wants to know timeline, and so you can map something out, but always make sure that you tell the person there are no guarantees, but when the right opportunity and the right time comes along, when you are doing your part, and if I'm doing my part to support you, we will get there. And I am 110% behind you as long as we both could commit to that, that element of performance and doing what we know we need to do to get results. So at the end of the day, again, you can share that you're behind their career growth, but don't overpromise, and make sure that they know that when the right opportunity and right time comes, you're in support of them. Leadership is truly your path to success because the world is hungry for leaders. Companies are hungry for leaders. Teams are hungry for leaders. And so I hope that these 7 success habits of effective leaders will help you in your career. Make sure again to comment below. Tell me some of your other habits that you find that makes leaders successful, and hit that subscribe button. If you're an ambitious woman in the workplace and you want to work with me, you can go to thenicoleandrews.com. Check out my Work With Me page to get your free 30-minute career consult. And if you're looking to identify your unique career path success formula, check out my quiz at thenicoleandrews.com/quiz. You all know I'm all about you embracing your difference. Even as a leader, I want you to shine your light in only a way that you can and help others do the same. So with that, share this video with your friends, your family, your colleagues to inspire them, your organizations to inspire them, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified when I post new videos each week. Thank you, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.